Hello everybody, welcome you all. Today's class is all about Professor Emile Durkheim's contribution to sociology. As you know the fact that Professor Emile Durkheim is having the unique distinction of being the first professor of sociology all over the world. Professor Durkheim was a French sociologist. His lifespan was from 1858 AD to 1917 AD. Professor Emile Durkheim has made four important contributions to sociology, namely social fact, division of labor in society, sociology of suicide, and fourth one is sociology of religion. But before teaching you the formal contribution of sociology, formal contribution of Durkheim to sociology, I think it is right, proper and just on my part to teach you the philosophy of Professor Emile Durkheim. Why? Because philosophy of Emile Durkheim has a connection with sociology. Once you understand the philosophies of Durkheim, then it will become very easy for you to understand his contribution to different areas of sociology. So, come to his philosophy first. The most important philosophy of Professor Emile Durkheim is functionalism. Functionalism. What is functionalism? Just I am making a derivation. Functional plus ism, that is called functionalism. Functional has been derived from the root word that is function. Function means positive contribution. Function means the positive contribution of different elements of society. Ism means philosophy or approach. So functionalism is a philosophy or approach by which a sociologist tries to evaluate the positive contributions of different elements of society. In the society there are different elements. For example, religion is there, political system is there, educational system is there, police is there. If a sociologist sees positive contribution in all these elements of society, then his approach is called functionalism. For example, if you ask Durkheim, what is the role of police? Durkheim would say, police is maintaining law and order in society. Because police is there, that's the reason discipline is maintained in social life, rule and regulation is maintained in social life. Had there not been police, anarchy, anomaly, regulationlessness, lawlessness, deregulation would have prevailed in society. So as he is highlighting the positive contribution of police, that's the reason his approach is called functionalism. Take another example, religion. If you ask a question to Durkheim, what is the role of religion? Durkheim would say, religion provides potential to the people. Religion gives motivation to the people how to come out of crisis-ridden situation. Life is uncertain. Crisis in life is certain. Any moment crisis comes to your life. If you get inclined towards religion, religion provides you potential how to come out of the crisis-ridden life. In a lighter vein, I can say, you see, just a few days before examination, you feel very much tensed. You feel that whatever things you have studied, everything is forgotten. Then what happens? You go to the temple, church, mosque as per your religious commitment and pray there with tearful eyes, sometimes tears crossing across the cheek, because of which you get internal relaxation. So, in this way, your participation in church, in mosque, in gurudwar, in temple, that is helping you to remove the tension that has crept into your mind. So in this way, religion is providing potential to the people how to come out of the crisis-ridden life. Religion has negative contribution also, but Durkheim is a functionalist, so he is highlighting the positive contribution of religion. Then next philosophy, second philosophy of Durkheim is collectivism. What is collectivism? Collectivity plus ism, that is called collectivism. Collectivity means group. Ism means philosophy or approach. So collectivism is an approach by which it is thought that an individual should be mentally prepared to sacrifice his self or herself for the betterment of the group. So collectivism does not give importance to individual, rather it gives importance to group. Getting my point? You see, there are different groups. Family is a group, state is a group, country is a group, the whole world is a group. So collectivism teaches you to sacrifice your personal interest for the betterment of your family, for the betterment of your state, for the betterment of your country, and also for the betterment of the whole world. This is collectivism. Its opposite is individualism. Individualism, opposite of collectivism is individualism. Individualism is the approach of Herbert Spencer. He is another sociologist. Herbert Spencer gives emphasis on individual. Individual plus ism, that is called individualism. Individual is an isolated entity. Ism means philosophy or approach. So individualism is an approach just opposite to collectivism, by which it is thought that individual should be given utmost liberty and freedom in the matter of doing the things the way he wants or she wants to do it. Individualism says individual is not expected to sacrifice anything. So opposite of individualism is collectivism. I am telling you, Durkheim's approach is collectivism, Herbert Spencer's approach is individualism. These two approaches are opposite to each other. But in reality, I am telling you, in social life, both individualism and collectivism is required, though these two thinkers are promoting two diametrically opposite approaches. How? I am citing an example, you see. You are living in democratic India. Your constitution has guaranteed you the freedom of speech. So you have, in lighter vein I am telling you, you have the freedom of singing a song. This is individualism. Every citizen of this country has the freedom of liberty of singing a song. This is individualism. But I would be telling you the fact, you don't have absolute liberty of singing a song in the midnight at my window. You cannot do it. So while you are thinking about your individual freedom, you must also think about my individual freedom. You have the freedom of singing a song. I have also equally the freedom of sleeping peacefully at my home in the midnight. So in this way, while you are thinking about other, at that point of time your self-interest to some extent is compromised. You are sacrificing your self-interest. That is collectivism. And while you are thinking about your freedom and liberty, there comes individualism. So Herbert Spencer is promoting individualism. On the contrary, Professor Emile Durkheim is promoting collectivism. In single sentence, I am repeating it again. Collectivism is an approach by which it is thought that an individual should be mentally prepared to sacrifice his self-interest for the betterment of the group. Next philosophy of Professor Emile Durkheim is evolutionism. Evolutionism. Make a derivation. Evolution plus ism. That is called evolutionism. What is evolution? Slow, steady and continuous process of change is called evolution. Ism means philosophy or approach. Durkheim believes that change will take place in a society slowly, steadily and continuously. Its opposite approach is revolutionism. Revolution plus ism, that is called revolutionism. What is revolutionism? The approach or the philosophy of revolution is called revolutionism. What is the meaning of revolution? An abrupt, immediate, sudden, substantial and significant process of change, that is called revolution. Ism means approach or philosophy. So any sociologist who thinks to bring a drastic and dramatic change, a sudden and substantial change, a significant change in a very short spell of time in society, that approach of the sociologist is called revolutionism. That approach was given by Karl Marx, that I will teach you in another class, Karl Marx. So you see, Durkheim's approach is evolutionism because Durkheim believes in slow, steady and continuous process of change in society. On the contrary, Karl Marx promotes an abrupt, immediate, sudden, substantial and significant process of change in the society. So Marx's approach is revolutionism. Then come to fourth philosophy of Durkheim. Fourth philosophy is positivism. What is positivism? Positive plus ism, that is called positivism. Positive means science. Ism means philosophy or approach. So the approach or philosophy of science is called positivism. What is that approach? You know, science tries to explain everything in terms of cause and effect relationship. I am repeating, science says there would be no effect without cause. If you ask a question why anything thrown above the surface of the earth is coming back to the surface of the earth, he would say because of gravitational pull, anything which is thrown above would be falling on the surface of the earth. So falling of an object on surface of the earth is the effect and the gravitational pull is the cause. So in this way, science tries to explain everything in terms of cause and effect relationship. Durkheim is adopting same approach for explaining social life. Durkheim says any event of society can be explained in terms of cause and effect relationship. That Durkheim has done in context of theory of suicide. There I will teach you in detail. But right now just I am giving you the glimpse. You see, if you ask a question to Durkheim, why people commit suicide, Durkheim would tell you the fact that a person whose attachment with family, whose attachment with religion, whose attachment with country, whose attachment with the world has been reduced, that person will feel tempted to commit suicide. Then what is the cause of suicide? Lack of integration or disintegration is the cause and suicide is the effect. So in this way, just the way scientists, physicists were explaining gravitational pull and falling of the object, exactly in the same way Durkheim is trying to explain suicide as effect and disintegration as cause. That's the reason Durkheim's approach is called positivism. Next approach of Durkheim, that is fifth philosophy, is social realism. Social realism. What is social realism? Make a derivation. Society plus reality plus ism, that is called social realism. So what is society? You know it. Society, have you seen society? No. Society is not a matter of observation. Society is a net of social relationship or a web of social relationship. Society plus reality. Real, its opposite is unreal. Ism means philosophy or approach. So what is social realism? Durkheim says society itself is real. Durkheim says society itself is real and individual is a nominal entity. So social realism. What is social realism? Make a derivation. Society plus reality plus ism. That is called social realism. Durkheim says society itself is a real and an individual is a nominal entity. So, how he is explaining it? Durkheim is speaking about social realism. Its opposite approach is social nominalism or individual realism. Opposite of social realism is individual realism or social nominalism. That is the approach of Herbert Spencer. What is that individual realism or social nominalism? Herbert Spencer says individual is real, society is nominal, unreal. But Durkheim says society is real and individual is unreal. How both the thinkers are explaining their point of view? You see, Herbert Spencer is putting a question to Durkheim. Durkheim, can you see society? Can you touch society? Can you observe society? You cannot touch, you cannot see, you cannot observe society. But how do you claim that society is real? So I mean Herbert Spencer, I think society is unreal, but individual is real. Why? Because we can touch an individual, we can see an individual, we can observe an individual. So Herbert Spencer says individual is real, but society is unreal or nominal. Why? Because we cannot see society. But Durkheim does not agree with Herbert Spencer. Durkheim develops just its opposite approach, that is social realism. Durkheim says, yes, Herbert Spencer, you are right, you are proper, that nobody would be able to see society, nobody would be able to observe society, but still then society is real. How? We cannot see society, how can we claim that society is real? I am citing an example, the way Durkheim has made discussion. You see, we are Indians. We have been born and brought up in Indian society. Since childhood we have developed patriotism. We have a tricolor flag, that is our national flag. As since childhood we have been told and we have been taught to pay respect of highest magnitude to our tricolor flag. That's the reason the moment we observe, we notice that tricolor flag is flying, we pay respect to the tricolor flag of India. But had we been born and brought up in Pakistani society, and had we seen the tricolor flag of India, what would have happened to our feeling? Instead of paying respect to tricolor flag of India, we could have paid respect to the green color flag at the center of which is placed the crescent moon, that is the flag of Pakistan. So, Indian society and Pakistani society cannot be observed, but our thought is influenced by the society where we have been born and brought up. Take another example. A person who has been born in Punjab is speaking Punjabi. A person who has been born in Bengal, West Bengal, is speaking Bengali. A person who has been born and brought up in Odisha is speaking Odia. Can you see Bengali society? Can you see Punjabi society? Can you see Odia society? No, not at all. But still then Punjabi society, Odia society and Bengali society, they are influencing your thought. Because suppose you are a Bengali, you are speaking Bengali, but had you been born in Punjab, instead of speaking Bengali, you could have spoken Punjabi. So in this way, your society, that is Punjabi society or Bengali society, is influencing your thought and action. So in this sense, Professor Emile Durkheim says that society is real, individual is nominal. Why? Because individual is responding to the stimulus of the society. Individual is born in India, he is paying respect to tricolor flag of India. Another individual is born and brought up in Pakistan, he is paying respect to the flag of Pakistan. So in this way, whether it is Pakistani society or it is Indian society, they are influencing our thought, they are influencing our action, they are influencing our behavior. Or whether it is Odia society or it is Bengali society, they are also influencing our behavior. So in this way, individual is not real, individual is nominal, but society is real, because the society in which we have been born and brought up, accordingly we are behaving. In that sense, society is real and individual is nominal. That's the reason Durkheim's approach is social realism. On the contrary, Herbert Spencer's approach is social nominalism or individual realism. Both the approaches have application as well as limitation. You see, I will be telling you the fact. The beauty of sociology is that here, what do you say, that doesn't matter. But how do you say, that matters a lot. For example, make a comparison between sociology and mathematics. In mathematics, if you ask a question to somebody, 3 multiplied by 8 is how much? Answer is 24. If anybody who says it is not 24, his answer is absolutely wrong. And people, those who say it is 24, their answer is absolutely correct. But in sociology, perspective matters a lot. For example, I have already discussed collectivism and its opposite approach is individualism. Durkheim promotes collectivism and Herbert Spencer promotes individualism. The way Durkheim tries to make you understand, you feel he is correct. The way Herbert Spencer tries to make you understand, you also feel Herbert Spencer is correct. Other thing that I also told you, social realism versus individual realism. The way Durkheim explained you social realism, how society is real, you felt Durkheim is correct. The way Herbert Spencer made you convinced you, you also felt Herbert Spencer is equally correct. But I am telling you the fact. Durkheim's approach is not absolutely correct, nor Herbert Spencer's approach is absolutely correct. Every approach has its own application as well as limitation. That's the reason I told you, what do you say in sociology, that doesn't matter. But how do you say, that matters a lot. Then come to the last philosophy of Professor Emile Durkheim. In fact, his last philosophy is comparative method. What is that comparative method? I am telling you. Comparative method or comparative approach is an approach in which a comparison is made between two groups with respect to a single event. What is that? If you make a comparison between male and female aspirants with respect to success in IS exam, it's a fact that the rate of success among the male aspirants in IS exam is higher than the rate of success of female aspirant. So here comparison has been made between two groups with respect to single event, that is success in IS exam, that is a comparative method. Durkheim has adopted this comparative method in his Sociology of Suicide. There he says that the rate of suicide among Protestant Christians is higher than Catholic Christians. So suicide is an event and a comparison is made between two groups of Christians, Protestant versus Catholic. Then Durkheim says the rate of suicide among bachelor and spinster. Spinster means unmarried woman. So the rate of suicide among the bachelor and spinster is higher than the rate of suicide among married people. How that I will discuss in detail in context of Durkheim's contribution to sociology of suicide. So in this way, in this class today, I made a detailed discussion related to different philosophy of Durkheim. Once you understand the philosophy of Durkheim clearly, understanding all the contributions of Durkheim to sociology would become very, very easy as well as interesting. So, in the next class, I will make a formal discussion related to Professor Emile Durkheim's contribution to sociology of suicide. What are they? I have mentioned already at the beginning. First is social fact, second is division of labor in society, third is sociology of suicide, and last one is sociology of religion. This is all about today's class related to Durkheim's philosophy in sociology. So let me wind up my class for today. Rest of the things related to Durkheim will be discussed in my next class. Thank you a lot.